Welcome back guys to the Pumpy Crypto Network. Just because Bitcoin shot up to the moon to 38,000 and came back down to 36,000, does that mean things are over? Reminded you guys that it's still according to plan to break out of this current channel, and once we do, just like all previous times, we start skyrocketing, right? So this is one way to look at it. Here's another way to look at it. What's happening right now is very similar to two cycles. Okay, that's the one came in where we formed a bottom, we tested this trend line a couple times, and then it started skyrocketing. That's what a lot of people are thinking this cycle. It's very similar to two cycles ago, the previous cycle, because the previous cycle we had this thing called COVID and the pandemic, and that kind of screwed up markets and screwed up the way Bitcoin was meant to move. But we are moving almost exactly identically to 2014. All the way up to the peak of 2017, we're moving very similar to that, and if we are following and we're mimicking that same period, that means Bitcoin should be hitting $50,000 by the end of this year. In the 50s, high 40s, 50s. Is that unreasonable? No. That's actually very reasonable the way we're moving right now. We're already at 37,000, and that's without a spot Bitcoin ETF approval. Just wait until we get one that's going to drive us to probably $45 to $47 in ready, and then we still have a whole month of Santa rallying to look forward to. You know, we're about halfway through November. Not really, we got plenty of time to get there, and then once we do get 50,000, well then we look forward to 70,000, and then we look forward to a new high moving forward. Why is there so much momentum right now? Why is Bitcoin pumping, jumping up to the moon? People caught on, maybe Wall Street, maybe institutions caught on. Okay, where they knew all along, and they're just loading up. We have this window for the SEC to basically give the spot to not only one but all 12 spot Bitcoin ETFs. So I believe this is the last time before the end of this year for an approval. The next window will be in early January, so that even if it doesn't happen this time, we're probably still going to continue to rally and then look forward to the next window in January, which again is just a couple months away. But there are a lot of people, including some important analysts out there from Bloomberg and others, that think that we have a very high chance of the SEC approving not only one but all 12 spot Bitcoin ETFs this window. Very high chance, and if we don't get it this time in January, it's going to be 90%, which is basically guaranteed. So it's either between now or January, and many people think it can be now. And Cathie Wood herself is buying a whole bunch of Robinhood stock. Why is that, you may be wondering? What does Robinhood have to do with Bitcoin and crypto? Well, just so happens Robinhood just stated they plan on expanding crypto trading to Europe, and they're going to come out the UK brokerage, and they're going to allow users to buy and sell and trade spot Bitcoin ETFs. When it comes out, you see what she's doing there. She is ahead of the game, and Robinhood didn't do so well recently, so they stock tanked. So this is also a good time to be buying, because again, you buy low and you sell high, right? So Cathie Wood is all in on Bitcoin, but we know it's not just Cathie Wood. The 12 applications include some of the biggest and largest asset managers on the planet, including Fidelity. They have 5 trillion assets. BlackRock 10 trillion in assets, and everyone else in between. Everyone wants a piece of this, and everyone is finally starting to pay attention. This is going to happen. We will get momentum before the next halving event, and we will get that huge parabolic run coming in 2024, 2025. And now other famous analysts and reporters and columnists are all talking about why 2024 is going to be so good. It is economies around the world get weaker and weaker and weaker because of the crushing debt and crushing inflation. More and more people will be driven to the best asset there is, Bitcoin. There will be this flight to quality, flight to safety. There's none better than Bitcoin. So we will, as this cycle moves forward, see more billions upon billions flow into Bitcoin. This is just the retail side, but from an institutional side it's going to be a lot more, not just from futures ETFs, but Bitcoin spot ETFs. Those are coming. BlackRock and Fidelity and ARK and 7 others. They will bring so much trillions into the space from the institutions. We're barely off the ground, and that's great. As for supply, the halving event, in case you don't know what that means, every 4 years the inflation rate of Bitcoin gets cut in half. After this next one, next year, only 3.125 Bitcoins will be released. Every block that gets cut in half. But in case you're wondering, 93% of all Bitcoins that there will ever be, 21 million, have been mined out. The whole world is basically trying to fight over the last 7%. But here's the thing, that 7% no one will ever get a drop of it. You know why? Because the miners, they are hoarding every single Bitcoin that they mine. They're not releasing any of it, they're not selling any of it. So actually the whole world is fighting for what exists, and what exists there's just not that much of. There's about 2 million on the exchanges. That's about it. Everything else out of the 19-something million that have in mind are held. That's what people don't realize when you realize that the supply is so small and you have 8 billion people. And the largest companies on the planet that's trying to fight for that 2 million that exists. There's not enough to go around for any other industry, any other commodity that exists. If we had the same situation with gold, with oil, with anything, the price would be in the moon already. But people still don't believe in Bitcoin, but they will after this cycle. I think things are going to be very different. It's going to be impossible for anyone to ignore Bitcoin after this cycle. The game is going to change forever. Let's stop her for now. Thanks for watching my video. Do not forget to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next.